Welcome, everyone. So I appreciate you taking the time to review the student orientation with me. So it is simply meant to give you an overview of our Community Engagement Associates program and to help you understand some key attributes and aspects of the program. So this program is facilitated and overseen at the USF Tampa campus in the Office of Community Engagement and Partnerships. And when you join the program, you become an employee of USF. Now, what does that mean? So you are an employee of our office and you are placed with community agencies. And you have what I would call an on-site supervisor at these community agencies that you report directly to. However, at the same time, since you are an employee of our office, you report to us as well, for us to be able to facilitate that relationship and that partnership with these community agencies. So that means when there's a national holiday, Martin Luther King Day, 4th of July, what have you, that you would not be working on those days. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. You are utilizing your Federal Work Study Award for this opportunity. And when you open up your financial aid information and you look at it'll be one of the bottom rows that you see for your fall and spring. It's usually called something to the effect of FDRL work study, and that is directly where your paycheck is coming from when you join our program. It's a financial aid award that you have, and so your paycheck comes directly from that. This is a real world experience. So you are out in the community. You are working with community agencies. During COVID and this pandemic, we've had to adapt where some positions are remote, some are in person, some are a combination thereof. And so as the pandemic continues to roll on, we are navigating that as best we can. This is intended to give you essential career skills and put you in real world situations to really develop that skill set to be able to put on your resume, strengthen your professional experience, and so on. The National Association of Colleges and Employers, or NACE for short, we utilize and think about career competencies a lot from them. A lot of those are things like critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, oral written communication, and so on, and some of the areas that overlaps with the AAC&U essential learning outcomes is we are trying to be intentional about the things that you take away from the experience. Many of our students who have been in this experience cite these kinds of skills as things that they have learned from the program. So after you meet with me initially and you meet with the community partner and the partner decides they are ready to move forward, and we do your paperwork, we send all of that to HR here at USF, and they process you as an employee of the university. You will be emailed something that looks like this. And it is crucial to sign it as soon as you get it. I say that because if you hesitate and say, maybe I'll come back to it later, or you forget to come back to it, or you forget to sign it, we have to start the process all over again. So you have to sign it within a pretty quick time frame. I believe it's within, I want to say 24 or 48 hours. So it's best just that when you get it, just to sign it immediately. And that's the best thing to do. You will use DocuSign.com to sign it. You use your USF login information when you go to DocuSign.com, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it, and you can sign it electronically, and USF and its HR department will accept that. So after you do that, there are a few more steps. Now, again, this is only if you're a brand new employee of USF. Let's say you're a freshman and you've just come here and this is all new to you. If you've been with USF before and then you join our program, you wouldn't have to do this. But let's say you're a freshman and you're brand new and you're doing all of this. So the next thing you do after the offer letters, you do something called the Right Start New Employee Paperwork. This is something that will be sent to you. It will look just like this. So it will look, it should look fairly important to you. And this is another thing that you want to not hesitate on it. You want to complete it as soon as possible. Typically, you need to have a social security card, driver's license, birth certificate, those kinds of things. You want to be able to have access to that. It wants to see at least 2 forms of identification. So please keep that in mind. And all this can be done electronically. So when COVID happened, it made everything go electronically. You used to have to do this in person. So now you can do it electronically and get it out of the way. And that's, again, what it looks like, a little bit bigger on the screen. So then, okay, last step here. So once you do that, then you have to do this, which takes a little less time. But this is basically setting up, making sure your net ID would be set up so there's no worries there. You'd already have that as a student. The main thing here is your direct deposit. That's the key thing, is making sure that's set up so that you get paid on time, everything goes smoothly. Campus parking, I mean, these are the things you're going to have taken care of as a student already, so not a big deal there. The direct deposit is the big one. And again, that's just the email a bit bigger. Okay, so your first day of employment, that has to be confirmed, but it will be what you see on the offer letter. You cannot work before that. By federal law, this is federal money that have been awarded to you. And by federal law, you cannot begin 1 hour before that start date. So when you sign your offer letter, be mindful of it. I will do my best to tell you what to expect. And I usually will tell you, you'll have a tentative start date of this date. Sometimes HR has to push that back because they're so backed up with everything they have going on. They may have to push it back. So we try to get you in there in about a week's time from the time that you interview, and everybody wants to move forward with your candidacy. It's usually about a week, but sometimes it can take a little more. So those things are moving as fast as they can. You do earn $12 an hour, and that is on the higher end for federal work study. I've seen students that are graduate assistants and so on, graduate students, make a little over 13, 14. So you're as on the high end of what we can pay currently for federal work study students. By law, you cannot go over 20 hours per week. This is another thing that's very individualized. So depending on how much you've been awarded per semester, I generally give you an idea of what your maximum hours that you could work for that semester. But when you go into OASIS and you look at your federal work study, you can, let's say you have $3,500 for the spring semester. You can divide that by 12. That gives you the number of hours that you could work total for that semester. Then you could divide that by the number of weeks in the semester. That would be 16. And then that would give you a ballpark idea of how many hours you could work per week. So pretty simple math to get to those conclusions. And it helps you plan as well to know how many hours a week you could work to get the maximum amount of the money that's been awarded to you. We also track this very, very closely in a spreadsheet. Every timesheet you submit, we log that information so we know to the dollar how much you have. And we, particularly when we get further into the middle of the semester, you'll be getting notifications on how much of your funding you have left, how many hours left you can work, and so on. The timesheets are created by RMD, Resource Management and Development, and they have to make that. I can't make it for you. And once you get logged in and to the system, your paperwork's been done for HR, then they can create that. And their RMD is great about everything they do and getting us that information fairly promptly. So I will let you know when your timesheet is ready and send you a link to that and let you download that. It's basically a spreadsheet. And that's another thing that you will use DocuSign for. You'll punch in the amount of hours that you have on your spreadsheet. So you want to keep a very consistent work schedule, even if you're working remotely or hybrid, because you should know exactly what your work hours are for consistency for you and the partner, but also when you do your timesheets as well. So you're always throwing in the same amount of hours every week. You'll see here the way it's typed has to be very specific. 2:00 space PM. Just and let's say I'm logging out at 5 o'clock. You make sure I have that space. The spreadsheet will have an error in it if you don't do it correctly. So I think you'll figure it out pretty quickly. But if you do not, I'm always available to meet with you one-on-one to walk you through this. I have to sign it, and your on-site supervisor at the organization has to sign it as well. And here's a copy of what it looks like. This is where you would punch in your hours. The top and the bottom of the timesheet cannot have over 20 hours in it, so 40 hours total. If you've been awarded less than $3,000, $2,000 per semester, you're going to have less hours that you can work, unfortunately. But so this is what it looks like. And when you sign it, when you send it through DocuSign, make sure you send me and your on-site supervisor not just a copy, but you make sure that we have to sign it. And we have a separate video on how to do all of that. Okay, so this is something you'll receive at the beginning of every semester. It's just a brief reminder of what we'd like you to do. And this is required to sign this. Basically, what all of this says is if you ever change your enrollment status, you ever drop or add a class, if you ever receive a notification from the Office of Financial Aid that your financial aid has changed, which means that your federal work-study award could have changed, please, please, please notify me that same day and let me know. Most of you, of our students in the past, have done awesome about that. We've had in the fall of 2021, we had nearly half of our students had this happen to them. And so what can also happen is that if you accept a grant, a loan, that can change what your federal work-study amount was previously. So let's say you get halfway through a semester, you accept a loan or a grant scholarship for some reason, it can decrease your federal work-study award. So before you ever accept any money or award, what have you, you really want to make sure that you're talking to financial aid about it, just so that you understand what can happen to your total financial aid information and award. So that's really what this says. And we're here to walk you through that process and let you know what's going on with your federal work-study award and let you know how many hours you have left. So that's basically what that means. We're getting close to the end here. Photo waivers. This is an optional thing. You don't have to sign it if you're not comfortable signing it. We'd love you to sign it if you can, but if you can't, that's okay too. We are always trying to improve our marketing materials. And so when we are able to have pictures of our students out in the community, obviously that's a great benefit to us. And it could be things we want to put on our website or in annual reports or so on. We also do success stories with students. So the photos are great to have. Again, if you're not comfortable with that, it's optional. You don't have to do that. I want to let you know there's always student support services available. particularly during this current time that we're in with the pandemic. If you feel overwhelmed, there are many, many great student support services here at the university. And please reach out to us and we can point you in the direction of those services. We are here to support you and want you to be aware of all the services that are here. So keep us in mind if we can be of support and steer you in the right direction here at the University of South Florida. Lastly, important dates. This PowerPoint will be available in the Canvas module, so you can click on that link. I mentioned earlier national holidays, for instance, spring break, of course, I'm sure you wouldn't forget that, and the holiday break. So all of those breaks that we have off during the year, you get those off as well. So just want you to be aware of that. Thank you for your time, and we are always here to support you through this process. If you ever have any questions, concerns, and really appreciate your time and checking this out today. Thank you.